Grade is a term you hear tossed around a lot in the Jujutsu Kaisen world. It is a word that has multiple meanings depending on the other things that it's paired with, and it sadly does not refer to either your elementary grade or the grades that you got on your report card. No, these grades refer to the strength and viability of both sorcerers and cursed spirits within the JJK world. But the system can seem a little complicated at times and has a lot of different slots and ranking systems in terms of how they compare to each other. So it seemed like a good idea, with season 2 really getting into it now, to go over the grade system and make sure that everybody understands exactly what they're in for. So let's go ahead and get started. Let's start with the easy question first. What is a grade in Jujutsu Kaisen? A grade is a numerical evaluation of your strength that you were given, rated compared against other cursed spirits and sorcerers. The grades for sorcerers are a little different than they are for cursed spirits, but at the end they tend to end up meaning how strong you are and are officially used to designate what cursed spirits or cursed users a sorcerer would be assigned to take out. It's a better system than some of the others that we've seen, because unlike ones that use letters or other like, this is actually built to be paired off against. One great example of this is that the very bottom of rankings of grade 4 is designed to be paired off against the bottom rankings of Cursed Spirits grade 4. This isn't the same way throughout the whole of it. It just makes it easier to understand, oh, if that's your ranking and you're up against somebody who's ranked higher than you, while not necessarily impossible, it's not a great idea to engage in combat with that particular person or cursed spirit. So, let's go ahead and get into the grades for cursed spirits first, since those are a little easier. Both the anime and the manga do a decent job of explaining how the grades system works in regards to cursed spirits. However, there are a few things that are left out, so let's go ahead and go over it so it makes it easier to understand. Let's really start with the bottom tier of the list, and surprisingly this isn't actually grade 4. There are cursed spirits that manifest that come out being lower than a grade 4 spirit. These are usually referred to as flyheads. They're not really dangerous to most people, they're more like pests. They kind of seem to manifest around darker emotions and stuff, and they can be annoying and a little caustic to humans, but they're not going to actively harm them usually. So they're not really regarded as much of a threat and are often used as cannon fodder by various characters in the series. That is the base rung level. Next up is grade 4. Now, in the evaluation given to us by Jujutsu High from Ijichi, grade 4 is comparable to if you had a wooden baseball bat, you could probably take out this type of spirit on your own. That makes a lot of sense. We actually don't get to see a lot of grade 4 spirits in the series, but we can assume that, like, the first spirit that Yuji fights in his co-op mission with Nobara in the abandoned grocery store was probably a grade 4. He was easily able to dispatch it by himself with nothing but a simple curse tool. It's relatively simple, and it was dangerous to a regular human, but not really to a sorcerer. So that's the very bottom of the list. Next up, we have grade 3. This is probably what the spirit that Nobara ended up dealing with on the top of that same building was. They're a little cleverer, a little bit more dangerous, but they don't usually have any special curse techniques. And if they do, the technique won't usually be a powerful one. It'll instead be some kind of utility-based one. We don't really have any official records on grade 3s, but that's just my assumption, is they're kind of the basic background ones. Much like grade 4s, these will be cannon fodder throughout most of the series. Then we start to get up into the more interesting grades. Grade 2 start to show a bit more cleverness in the use of their cursed abilities, and this is usually about the time that you start to see actual cursed techniques start to manifest. They might not be as powerful as some of the characters that we see in the series, but these are usually the spirits that, like, grade 2s that we have seen usually refer to missions can be undertaken by somebody like Toge from Jujutsu High. They are deadly enough you need somebody with a really powerful curse technique, but not so powerful that you don't feel good about sending just one person to get it. When Toge was sent with Yuta to the mall, these particular cursed spirits didn't really matter much. And to be fair, we don't know that this particular mission was rated grade 2 for one curse. It seems like a collection of smaller curses can add up to a grade 2 rating. And that's kind of really all we know about them. In terms of the power level of them, they are a shotgun. is the earth weapon equivalent we're given. Oh, yeah, and grade 3s are a pistol. But now we get into the ones that really start to give our characters trouble. These are the ones that most people should fear. Now we start with grade 1s. Now, grade 1s are listed as even a tank might be insufficient. And that makes sense. These are cursed spirits that manifest usually from darker events or from dangerous effects. Kind of disasters might start to cause these. Not like the disaster curses that we have in season 1, but I mean like an earthquake hits a specific city might cause enough fear to cause one of these to pop up. Or an exceptional tragedy. In season 2, we see that Utahime and Mei are taken to a mansion, and I would strongly say that this cursed spirit, despite being probably physically weak, was actually a grade 1 because of its curse technique, trapping people inside the mansion to wear them down and then eventually kill them. Grade 1s are also where we start to see some more complicated curse techniques, and these are usually treated somewhere on the level of lieutenants and captains in, like, Gato's cursed spirit army, for instance. They're not all out powerful like a special grade, but they could probably handle quite a few sorcerers of 2nd grade and lower, or go toe-to-toe with a 1st grade sorcerer. And now we come upon the last section, and by far and away the most complicated to explain. Special grade is the top tier of enemy that you can fight in terms of cursed spirits. They are said to be so dangerous that if human weapons worked on them, you would need to cluster bomb them in a carpet bomb format. That's really strong. Basically, you're talking about something that needs to be taken out in terms of miles, kilometers to miles, in order to be effectively dealt with. And this makes sense. The special grade cursed spirits that we see in the series are often reflective of major disasters, whether they be rampant diseases or natural disasters born of the elements. Like Hanami is the fear of everything primordial in the forest, or Jogo is the fear of everything fire related, particularly volcanoes, but we can also assume that this might apply to things as well, like we find out later in the Shibuya incident, possibly even meteorites. So when special grade is thrown around, though, it becomes a bit confusing because not all special grades are created equal. We have certain special grades that appear like the smallpox curse. That is a deadly opponent, but it's not really a full-on natural disaster. So if you want to be really honest, special grades can always be broken into 2 different categories. Special grade light, these are ones that result in natural disasters or massive fatalities, but can't really cause those same level of disaster on their own. The smallpox curse is one of these, as is something probably like Lady Tamamonoi. They are powerful, but we don't really get a full perspective of what their power would be, and because of that, we probably know they're not as strong as the second part of this, which is full-on special grade. These curses are natural disasters in their own right. They're the 4 disaster curses, or a few others that we have seen, like Rika, for instance. Basically almost bottomless curse potential, and because of that, separating these 2 did feel very important. But now that you're covered on cursed spirits, let's go ahead and get into sorcerers. Now that we have covered everything you need to know about grades for curses, I can get into grades for sorcerers, and this will be strangely easier now that you have perspective on curses. The main thing you need to know about grades for sorcerers are they are technically broken up through grade 4 through special as well, but that classification system is not as simple as it sounds. For one thing, technically there are sorcerers who would come in below grade 4. These would be ones like these managers and assistant managers, as well as windows. People who are associated with the Jujutsu world but aren't full-on sorcerers. They're not usually worth talking about a lot, except to say that managers are usually support characters who drop things like barriers and can sometimes render assistance like practical medical knowledge. Then we get into the grade system for actual sorcerers. Now the important thing to keep in mind is with this system, technically a sorcerer is not paired off 1v1 directly against the curse grade. So a grade 4 sorcerer would not be expected to be able to fight a grade 4 curse. They would actually be expected to be able to fight a grade 3 curse. They have to be able to fight one curse ranking directly above them. This is because A, sorcerers are short-staffed anyway, but B, also you need to be able to have confidence that if the curse ranking was off for some reason, you won't die instantaneously. So a grade 4 needs to be up a grade 3, grade 3 needs to be up against a grade 2, and so on and so forth. Now, in terms of simplicity, grade 4s are the basic rung of Jujutsu. This is usually where you begin as a student, and you'll work your way out of this pretty quickly, or you're going to drop down into being like an assistant manager. Most people don't hang around grade 4 unless you're in a very particular circumstance, like Maki's. When you get up to grade 3, though, is where you'll start getting more and more assignments. You'll start getting put out on testing missions, stuff of that nature. Now, this is where you're also expected to take on a bit more responsibility, and it's where people might start watching you. We know that from here, though, there is a interesting caveat to this system. From grade 3 to grade 2, there's actually a middle ranking, semi-grade 2. This is really the evaluation stage between these two, but it actually holds as its own rank for a while. And the same is from grade 2 to grade 1. There's a semi-grade 1 status. But should you manage to work your way all the way up from grade 3 all the way to grade 1, you are standing among some of the best peers in the Jujutsu world. And it is possible for somebody to go from grade 4 to grade 1. We've seen it done with sorcerers with great techniques. We've seen it done with sorcerers with terrible techniques. So it is definitely a possibility for anyone in the Jujutsu world to actually work their way here. Next up, though, we don't actually go directly to special grade. Instead, we end up with special grade 1. There's not really a lot of designation as to what the difference is between special grade 1 and grade 1. It honestly comes off more like a title that was invented to make certain other clans feel better about themselves in terms of the fact that they couldn't hit special grade like, I don't know, the Gojo clan can. But let's just say the special grade 1 sorcerers are supposed to be considered stronger than grade 1s and can be used in very dire situations. Then we come across special grade. This is probably the easiest category to explain, because there's only 4 of them. Now, we're not given originally a direct translation of what special grade means in terms of sorcerers, but we do know that there being only 4 means that they have to be immensely powerful. We do learn from another character far later in the series that the classification for special grade is only handed out to somebody if they can conquer a country on their own. And this makes sense. Everybody who holds the special grade title is more than capable of conquering a country all by themselves. So, and to be clear, the 4 who fit in this category are Yuki Tsukumo, Suguru Gedo, Yuta Okotsu, and Satoru Gojo. Each of these characters possesses immense cursed energy and blatantly powerful curse techniques. So, I hope this makes grades a little bit easier to understand, and I'll see you next time.